Welcome to online lectures by CA Studies. For more lectures online, please do visit castudies.lk.
Now we are going to learn about inequalities. That is, basically it's a statement that shows the relationship between two or more variables. Okay, so here we will learn that equations aren't always equal. It can be not equal, which means it can be not perfectly equal. That type of situation is called inequalities. Okay? Inequalities, if this is x, it can have the sign x is greater than something, or x is less than something, or x is greater than or equal to something, or x is less than or equal. If you see one of these signs in the question, that means it is an inequality. Now let's try an example. So they say a company made two products X and Y. X took 4 hours to make and Y took 3 hours to make. Derive a formula for total labor time. So if X took 4 hours to make, total hours for 1 unit of X will be 4 multiplied by the number of units of X. And for Y, if it took 3 hours for 1 unit, it should be then 3 hours multiplied by number of units of Y. Therefore, total labor time will be equal to 4x plus 3y. Then they are saying the maximum number of hours they could work is 24 hours. And 2 people are working. One person working on X and one on Y. So if maximum hours is 24, we can say 4x plus 2y should be equal to 24 hours. Okay. But also they say that if 2 people are taking over one task, then those 2 people can finish the task soon, because 2 people's efforts are put so that less time will be taken. In that case, we can say that the labor time taken for X and Y can be less than or sometimes equal to 24 hours. That is the reason why we insert inequalities into equations, because of practical implication. Practically, we cannot say it will take exactly 24 hours, because it is more likely to be less than 24 hours. With this, let's draw the graph for this inequality. For x plus 3y less than or equal to 24. Now they will, in the exam, what they are going to ask is, provide values of x and y that satisfy, that is less than 24, or that satisfies this equation. That means how many products of x and how many maximum products of y should we produce to take time less than or equal to 24 hours. When drawing this line, first step is, step 1, assume the equation to be like a normal straight line. 4x plus 3y equal 24. And get when x is 0, y is basically, this part becomes 0, so y is 8. And when y is 0, what is x? 6. So we have 0, 8 coordinate and 6, 0 coordinate. Now draw the graph. Let me draw it below. When x is 0, y is 8. When y is 0, x is 6. These 2 points. There is a straight line. This straight line's equation we can say is the inequalities equation. Even though we took this based on by changing the sign to equal sign, we can still say that this is equal. This can be represented as an inequality. Okay, but because this is an inequality, the values of x and y that can give this answer to be less than 24. Now we are only talking about less than 24 is the area below the line, which is this highlighted area, not this side, only this triangle. This triangle will satisfy the equation 4x plus 3y is only less than 24. Any point on the line, any x and y value on the line will definitely give 4x plus 3y will be equal. The answer definitely for the point on the line, the answer will definitely be equal to 24. Try it on a graph paper. Better try it on a graph paper where you can take the values of x one by one and the values of y one by one and neatly find out, select a point on the line and then substitute that point's values into this formula. You will get the same. Use check and see, will you? It will be definitely equal to 24. So remember, any point on the line will be equal to 24 and anything below the line will give a value less than 24. This is a key thing to remember. So let's select a lesser coordinate. Now the maximum coordinate is 8 to 6 now. I am going to select this point where I am going to say 1 and 2. When x equal 1, y equal 2. What will be the answer? 4 into x is 1, 3 into y is 2. Is it less than 24? 4 plus 6 is less than 24 obviously because it's 10, right? Likewise, any point you all select from this region will be definitely less than 24. This is it about inequalities. Now another example, let's see. Example 2. A product needs 3 kg raw material and only 700 kg is available. Express this constraint. So now the product is output, which is the independent variable x. and kg is the dependent variable y because it depends on the products, how many products we buy. So therefore, now let's only take x. By multiplying now they want us to show, what they want us to show is the constraint formula. Constraint formula means the limit of kilograms available. We have to show it in a formula way. How to show it is, we know that 3 kilogram multiplied by x quantity maximum will be less than or equal to 700 kilogram. Why? Because in the shop, all the shops, maximum we have only 700 kilograms. So the product multiplied by the number of kilograms per product, anyway we can reach maximum only 700 kilograms. So 3x less than or equal to 700 will be the inequality for this equation, for this scenario. Okay. So you should create inequalities like this. Now solving inequalities. When you are given like these situations, when there's one unknown figure, either x or y, what you will do is, let's say for example they gave x minus 5 is less than 2x plus 7. Find x. Now there are some rules when it comes to solving inequalities. And that is, I'll explain one. The first thing is, you can imagine this equation like x minus 5 equal to x plus 7. Okay, and as usual, we have to use the opposite sign rule. You should use the opposite sign rule to solve for x. Okay, first thing they said, adding or subtracting inequalities will not change the sign of the inequality, which is this. So now I am going to take all the numbers this side and x values this side. So x minus 5, I am going to put plus 5 using opposite sign rules. If I do something this side, I must do the same thing this side as well. So 2x plus 7 plus 5. And I am going to remove my 2x from here and then going to add minus 2x to here. So I will get minus x and this 0 is less than, okay. So now I am now only adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting. You see the first rule, when you add and subtract on both sides, this sign will remain the same. It will remain the same. It will not change. Alright. So it is going to be 2, it's going to be, these 2 cancel. So 7 plus 5, 12. But now I cannot say no, minus x is equal to 12, is less than 12. The minus side should come this side. Then what I will do, I am going to divide this by minus 1 because if we look at the opposite sign rule, if a minus variable is or component is divided by a minus figure, we will ultimately get a plus figure. That's why I divided by minus figure. So if I divided this side by minus, this side also I must divide by minus. Now see the second rule. Multiplying or dividing by a positive number will not change the sign of inequality. Now I am dividing by a minus sign. Now if I divided by a plus sign, still this sign will be the same. Or if I multiply this by a plus sign, still this sign will be the same. But I am dividing by a minus sign because I am dividing by minus 1 to make this plus x. In such situations, when you multiply or divide by a negative number, it reverses the inequality where it reverses. Now the opposite of this sign will be this side, isn't it? Now if you look at opposite signs, this is less than, the opposite of it is this. This is greater than or equal to, and the opposite of it is less than or equal to. These are the opposite signs, right? So the opposite sign, now this is this one, the opposite of it is this way. So I changed it because I am dividing by a minus figure. That's the third rule. As per the third rule, if you divide by minus figure, you should change the sign. And then I will get x is greater than minus 12. So in the exam, very important point, make a note of this change in sign. Your only situation when the sign will change is that when you divide or when you multiply by a negative figure. Alright. So with that we finish inequalities. Let's do some practice questions. One practice question and then we'll move on to business graphs. They have given the equation P equals 100 minus 0.01 Q. This is a price formula and Q is the quantity and P is the price. They are asking to find the formula for revenue. Now revenue formula we know by nature, by practice we know revenue equal sales price multiplied by number of units sold. Okay. So the sales price we know it is 100 minus 0.01 Q. Okay, this is the equation of price. Same thing, substitute it here. Then the number of units sold, they said equal it to Q. So if you equal it to Q, it will be Q over here. Fine. Then the answer therefore will be, if you make revenue, if you symbolize it as R, then you will get R equals 100 minus 0.01 Q multiplied by Q. The same Q, capital or simple, it's the same Q because both represent quantity. That's why I am saying it is the same. So then leaving like this, we can, we can clear off the brackets by multiplying Q by this and Q by this. In that case, our final equation will be 100Q minus 0.01 Q square. Now you got a square. Now remember, this is like a parabola, isn't it? Because it is in the parabola equation format. Then rearrange this to 0.01 Q squared plus 100Q. The curve where A is minus 0.01 and B is 100, C is 0 and A is a minus. So minus parabola curves come like this. Okay. So now their first question is, what's the revenue of 100 units? Okay, so revenue of 100 units. We know Q stands for units. So 100 units means substitute 100 for Q. Then you will get very easy, straightforward. What's the answer? Revenue will be 9,900. Another way to find is, you know the price. You can first of all find the price for 100 units. That is 0.01 multiplied by 100 because Q is given here. In that case, you will get 100 minus the price is, here it will be 1, so 99. Then we know revenue is equal to selling price multiplied by the number of units. So if the selling price is 99 rupees and they have asked for 100 units, what will be the total sales? Then you can straight away multiply 99 by 100 units. And that will give you the same answer for total revenue of 9,900 rupees. Alright, so with that we finish equations and graphs, and next let's look at business graph types. Let's say the gradient is fixed. Gradient is fixed. In that scenario, that means, I'll tell you what it is. That means gradient is fixed. Now in a total cost, now you have this in the tube, but just refer. So fixed cost curve, if this is the quantity and this is the fixed cost, definitely it will be like this, because no matter what the quantity is, the fixed cost will remain the same. That's why it's a fixed line horizontal. Variable cost per unit, if the variable cost per unit is the same, okay, that is where it's very important, okay. That means for any level of units, the variable cost for 1 unit is, let's say 2 rupees. Then your line will be like this. Variable cost line will be starting from 0, straight line upwards, because the variable cost per unit is the same. Then what will be the total cost curve? The total cost curve will look like this. Make sure total cost starts from here, because why? This is the fixed cost. So at Z there won't be 0 total cost. Even though variable cost is 0, at 0 output there is a fixed cost. So that fixed cost must be shown here, and you must take the total cost, because, and this is the variable cost plus fixed cost, okay. This will be your fixed cost and this will be your total cost. So actually this line no need to show, but sometimes they might show, but this is only the fixed cost line, okay. This is how your total cost will be. Next scenario, where the gradient is a bit changing. Gradient is changing. It is not a slope. Gradient is changing. Now there, the variable cost per unit changes. Example, first 10,000 units you have a variable cost of 2 rupees, and next 10,000 units you have a variable cost of 4 rupees. Your variable cost changes. In such scenario, your variable cost curve will look like this. Okay, it will look like, start from 0 but like a parabola curve. Okay, but your fixed cost will be anyway fixed, like this. Fixed cost will be the same because it is fixed. But your total cost curve will again change because of the variable cost. How it will change? It will start from the fixed cost point but in a curve shape to the top. Okay. So this is how the change in variable cost per unit from 2 rupees to 4 rupees affects the shape of the graph. It changed from a straight line to being a curve. Alright, now we'll see, now we saw from the cost point of view. Now let's see it from the revenue point of view. Okay. From the revenue point of view, if the selling price and quantity both changes, okay, that means gradient is changing, then your total revenue curve will become something like this. Because why I did this is, you might sell more quantity, but your demand will be less. Because the demand is less, your selling price or revenue will fall down. So this is due to low demand with rising or low competition or high competition, I would say. High competition, because the competition is increasing, your sales is reducing. Or else it can be like this, but very rare. Okay, it will be increasing to some point and decreasing. This is how a total revenue will be when your selling price and your quantity both is changing. Both are changing. Fine. But let's say selling price is fixed. That is the where selling price will be the gradient for total revenue formula. Remember that, because total revenue formula will look like this. No? Selling price multiplied by quantity. That's it. So selling price is our gradient. Okay. So if the gradient is fixed, you know it will be a straight line. So it will be like this, because as the quantity increases, the total revenue will increase, because a higher quantity gets multiplied to the selling price. Alright. Now fourth scenario, we'll see what happens when we put total revenue and total cost curve together. When you bring total revenue and total cost curve together with quantity here and total cost or revenue here, total revenue in a linear situation will be going from 0 upwards, as we saw previously when the gradient is fixed. And total cost, when the gradient is fixed, will go this way like a straight line, where it's having the fixed cost. Now you see this point where the total cost meets the total revenue line. At this quantity only, total cost is equal to total revenue. Equal to total revenue, profit is equal to 0. Why is that? Because profit equal total revenue minus total cost. If the total revenue is the same and total cost is the same, ultimately it will be equal to 0, isn't it? So if it equals to 0, this gap represents a loss and this gap represents profit. Because here the total revenue is greater than the total cost, whereas here The total cost is here, but total revenue is here at this point. So see, cost is higher than the revenue. That's why there is a loss. Okay, so always this side will be loss and the other side will be profit. Okay, and when profits equal to 0, we call it the break even point. Okay, so this will be the break even quantity and this will be the break even revenue or cost. So break even means how much we should sell at least to not have a loss. How much we should sell to not have at least a loss. That means at least without making a loss, minimum profit, what is it? Minimum can be 0. So what is, at which quantity will we get a minimum profit of 0 is what we should find from this graph. That is called break even. Now let's look at how to draw quadratic graphs. We did see that, but in a business scenario how it works. Here we have now how to mark the profit area in a total revenue and total cost curve scenario where we will have them as quadratic equations. How do we mark the profit or loss area? We see the maximum profit will be where there is the highest gap between cost and revenue. If there is a the maximum gap between cost and revenue will give us the maximum profit because it will be the highest difference between revenue and cost. Let's say total revenue was 10,000 here and the cost is 2,000, right? Then maximum profit is 8,000 likewise. So the biggest gap is what gives the maximum profit. It is not the difference between the maximum and the minimum point. Because the maximum point is around here for this one and minimum point is somewhere here for the total cost curve. Can we therefore take the difference between the two? No, it's not right. So that's why they take the highest gap between both. The gap, the size. Now here it is minimum but the gap is highest when it is here. Okay, so this is where we earn maximum profit. At this point, the gradient of total revenue will be equal to the gradient of total cost at this gap or at this point and this point. The gradient is the same in each curve. So in the question they might ask you, they'll give you the equations of these two curves and ask you to find the maximum profit value. Then first step is for you to find the gradient of each equation and then substitute, then equal both gradients. Gradient 1 equal gradient 2. So for example, you might get 0.01 x squared plus 100x is equal to 0.1 x squared minus 20x. Then if you solve for x, you will bring x squared one side and then bring, there are two unknowns. Okay, but anyway, still we can solve it because it's not equal to any other thing. It's equal to, so 0.01 is 0.09 x squared and this side will be 120x. Then if you divide this by x, then divide this by x because you want one number here, you will get 120 equals 0.09 x squared. How to solve that then? 120 equals 0.09 x squared. You want to find the value of x, at which point we have the highest gap. So because if you see the highest gap, it is same line. That's why there is only one quantity that gives the maximum revenue and the minimum cost that would produce the maximum profit. Okay, not at two ranges of output. Obviously, right, at one set of quantity only we will be able to find what will be a maximum high revenue and what's the highest cost. So 120 divided by 0.09, I am going to make x the subject. I am going to multiply this by half and multiply this by to the power half. This to the power half means square root of this 120 divided by 0.09, which is 1333. It's equal to x to the power 1 because these two cuts. So square root of 1333 is x equals 36.5. The answer therefore at 36.5 units we can make the maximum profit. Let's find the maximum profit then. So x is 36.5. This is okay, we should find then the original equation. So they haven't given here, then apply the x value not to this equation because these equations are for dy divided by dx. Okay, let's say for example they gave an original equation for this one. So you have to plus 3. It would be a bit messy, but I am going to assume the original equation of total cost was, let's say, 0.1 x squared plus 100x plus 30, for example, is the original equation, okay, for total cost. Then what will be the total cost? If x is 36.5, substitute 36.5 to the original equation, not to the gradient equation. $3,813, and then total revenue I would say it is 0.2 x squared plus minus 20x plus 20, for example. No, I think total revenue doesn't have a constant, no, because it starts from 0. So no problem. Then I'm going to take, so 0.2 multiplied by 36.5 squared minus 20 into 36.5. It gives an answer of 36.5 squared multiplied by 0.2 minus, it's a bit weird. This is a bit weird. Likewise, find the total revenue answer, then take the difference between maximum profit equal this total revenue answer that you get minus 3,830. That will be the gap of this. Okay. Since I haven't the original equation, I didn't substitute for total revenue, but if you have the original equation of total revenue, substitute the value of x to the original equation and then get the value of this point, and the difference between these two should be equal to your maximum profit. Okay. So with that, then let's finally see the profit diagram and then we can wind up. So the profit diagram will, in a quadratic expression, your profit diagram, since, so this is the quantity, this is the profit we'll say, then it will be, since the revenue is moving like this, your profit will come as, it has a loss element also, no? Because at this point the total cost is greater than the total revenue. So this point is the loss element. This point is the profit element. Because total revenue is greater than total cost. So then our profit or loss curve will be like this, where this part is the loss part and this part is the fixed cost point, but because of fixed cost, the loss that occurred to the company when there is zero output. So basically, if you look at the profit equation, total revenue minus total cost, at output level of 0, you might have zero revenue, of course zero revenue, and but your total cost, you have fixed cost of maybe say 30,000 and you have 30,000. So your profit will be what? Loss of 30,000. That loss is only represented here. And then then profit is, this particular x value should be 36.5 as per what we did here, because at this x value, so at this x value, total revenue is equal to total cost, because profit is equal to 0 here, because profit is the y-axis and quantity is the x-axis. So you see here, there is an x value for it, there is a particular quantity for it, but there isn't a y-axis here. So if there isn't a y-axis detail here, that means the y-axis is equal to 0 at this point. And if it's equal to 0 at this point, that means profit is equal to 0. If profit is equal to 0, that means total revenue is equal to total cost at this point, which could be these 2 points, this point and this point. At two situations, profit becomes 0. Maybe the curve will be going down like this again. Then this should be the second situation. Alright. So this is the loss side. This is when profit is equal to 0, and then this is the profit area. Alright, and the maximum point of the parabola is where you get the maximum profit. So if you differentiate, so if you are given a profit curve and if you differentiate the profit equation and equal the gradient to 0, then straight away you can get the quantity at which you get maximum profit. You don't have to differentiate total revenue equation with total and the total cost equation and then equal the gradients. You don't have to do that procedure if you are given the profit equation straight away, because easily from the profit equation itself you can differentiate the equation equally to 0 and find the x value, and then substitute that x value to the original profit equation to get your maximum profit. And remember that to get maximum profits, when profit is maximized, just remember that the marginal revenue, that means change in revenue, is equal to change in cost. Okay, this change in revenue is called the marginal revenue, and the change in cost is called the marginal cost. So this change is what is called the gradient. So if the gradient of each equation is equal to each other, that means we are earning maximum profit at that point. Okay? So you should therefore first know that whenever you want to find the maximum profit, you must equal the gradient of both the curve, both equations of the curve, and then get your x value and substitute it to the original equations of the curve to find their respective values, and that difference will give the maximum profit. So with that we finish this chapter on graphs and equations. Therefore practice the questions. We have done similar questions during the lesson. So try this, remember the formulas, remember what is the steps we need to follow to get the answer. So with that, see you all in the next video.
Thank you for watching the video. Stay tuned with castudies.lk for more lectures online.